Good morning and welcome back, Jayhawks, to another edition of Good Morning KU Sports. On the agenda today, Zach will be talking about the first week of the MLB season, Harrison will back it up with another KU baseball recap, and Kate will be discussing some tennis. After a short break, Ulysia, Zach, and Ryan will be back with a March Madness roundtable. To round out the show, Jack will discuss the NCAA Frozen Four, and Ulysia joins us again with her weekly NIL update. Then Olivia will finish the weather like always. But before we jump straight into things, you know the drill. Let's catch up on some recent sports news. The NFL has been extremely busy as they have revamped some rules ahead of the 2025 season. The overtime rules have changed, so now both teams will be able to possess the ball no matter if the other team scores first. And the OT period will now only be 10 minutes. Touchbacks will also be moved to the 35-yard line, and first downs will now be measured electronically. 5 new penalties can now be overturned by the booth: hitting a defensive player, face mask, horse collar tackle, tripping, and roughing into the kicker. The NBA is now investigating Ja Morant over a finger gun gesture that he used to taunt the members of the Golden State Warriors during Tuesday's game. Ja Morant has been suspended on 2 occasions by the league for showing a handgun on social media. Miller Gardner, the teenage son of former New York Yankee outfielder Brett Gardner, died to carbon dioxide, authorities in Costa Rica announced. Miller Gardner, who was 14, died on March 21st while the family was vacationing, and the cause of his death was unknown up until April 3rd. The Kansas Jayhawks had 6 men's basketball players enter the transfer portal, which means Bill Self and company now only have 2 returning scholarship players on the roster in Jamari McDowell and Elmarco Jackson. Looks like he's cleaning the house. Now that we're all caught up, let's get this show rolling.
Thanks, Addie. Baseball is finally back, and we're now just a week into the brand new 2025 season. This season has started with a bang, so let's look at some of the notable things to happen so far. The NL West has started strong with both the Dodgers and the Padres hot right off the bat. The 2 teams are both currently undefeated and seem to be the best in the league with 8 and 7 wins. The Dodgers' 8th win came on an incredible walk-off win Wednesday night against the Braves from who else but Shohei Ohtani. Let's take a look.
High fly ball to center field. Harris is back. Ohtani!
This is a historic win for the Dodgers as they move to 8-0, marking the best start ever by a reigning World Series champion. The other division leaders in the National League are the Phillies at 5-1 and the Cardinals at 4-2. Over in the American League, the Yankees are making noise with their new torpedo bat design. The design changes the barrel, making the sweet spot, where contact is usually made, thicker. As a result, they have seen a very hot start with home runs, even setting an MLB record for most home runs in the first 4 games with 18. They are currently 3rd in the AL East behind the Blue Jays and the Rays. Over in the Central, things have not started so well as 4 of the 5 teams are 2-4 and all have a losing record. Lastly, in the West, the Rangers lead the way at 5-2 and the Angels are close behind at 4-2. In other news, 2 MLB teams have played their first home games of the year away from home. The A's and the Rays are both playing their home games this year at local minor league parks due to hurricane damage in Tampa and the relocation from Oakland. Both teams saw good attendance on opening day, but as the season goes on, these minor league park settings could deter fans from attending. Finally, a few teams locked in their superstars with major contract extensions on Wednesday. The Red Sox started things off by signing Christian Campbell to an 8-year contract. Then the Padres signed outfielder Jackson Merrill to a 9-year contract lasting until 2034. Later in the day, the Diamondbacks extended their second baseman Ketel Marte for 6 more years. That's all I have on the MLB, so now let's go over to Harrison for a KU baseball recap.
Thanks, Zach. The Jayhawks have not lost a game since we last spoke, winning 7 of their last 10. The Jayhawks hope to keep the streak rolling, heading to Orlando to take on UCF this evening. The highlight of the week had to be their 11-inning thriller against Oklahoma State, walking off the Cowboys on the back of a 3-run home run from Sawyer Smith. Let's take a look.
He drives one deep to right. Back it goes. Sawyer Smith wins it. A 3-run walk-off blast. Pandemonium at home plate on the 4th walk-off win of the year for the Jayhawks.
The Jayhawks finished this home series with a sweep, winning the series finale 11-2. South Dakota State came to Hoagland to wrap up the 4-game homestand Wednesday evening, winning 10-7. The Jayhawks seemed to have trouble on the mound, going through 9 pitchers through 9 innings, but starter Patrick Stites picked up his second win of the year, and reliever Alex Breckheimer came in with the save, pitching 2 scoreless innings and recording 3 strikeouts. Offensively, it was the usual suspects who showed up at the plate. Brady Ballinger hit an RBI double to get things going for the Hawks, and Jackson Hauge and Brady Council both had home runs, pushing the team season total to 63. Looking ahead to UCF, there are a few things to consider. The Golden Knights pitching staff currently leads the Big 12 in ERA, sitting at around 3.56, and batting average hovering around 327 on the year. It will be interesting to see how the Hawks approach this series, but Coach Fitz says it's all about staying consistent. He says, "We've done a pretty good job keeping it simple. We must continue that as we move forward." He told that to reporters this week. The key player to watch this week is sophomore Brady Ballinger. He leads the Big 12 in walks, on-base percentage, runs scored, and runs per game. He also has a 10-game hitting streak on the line. Offensive production has been the hallmark of this Jayhawk squad, and staying sharp at the plate through these mid-season matchups will make or break this historical start. Jackson Hauge also leads the Big 12 in home runs with 13 and is quickly approaching the program record of 21, set by Tony Thompson in 2009. Hauge is tied for 5th in the nation in home runs this year and keeps fans happy with plenty of souvenirs sent over the fence. First pitch against UCF is scheduled for 5 p.m. tonight. Over to you, Kate.
Thanks, Harrison. The Lady Jayhawks had 2 meets over in Utah this past week. The first was against the Utes, and KU swept 4-0. They won 2 of the 3 doubles matches and 3 of the 6 singles, while the other 3 were left unfinished. Moving over to Provo, the Jayhawks lost in a close 4-3 against BYU. Kansas and BYU both won 3 singles, and it was left down to the doubles, where the Cougars came out on top. Doubles partners Gracie Mulville and Heike Hanse van Vuren are now ranked 30th by the ITA. Over our break, the ATP and the WTA had 2 of their bigger tournaments. The first was in Indian Wells in California. The 10-day tournament ended with 9th-ranked 17-year-old Mira Andreeva beating out first-ranked Aryna Sabalenka in 3 sets that lasted a little over 2 hours. She's the youngest player to beat the #1-ranked WTA since 2005. Also, number 13 Jack Draper beat the number 12 Holger Rune in 2 sets. A few days later, the tennis community flew over to Florida to compete in the Miami Open. An unranked Jacob Minsick was able to beat the number 4 Novak Djokovic in a close 2-set match, and Aryna Sabalenka was able to turn around this tournament by winning against the great competitor number 4 Jessica Pegula. Mira unfortunately lost early in singles this time, but was able to win the tournament in women's doubles. Back over to Addie.
Thanks, Kate. I don't really know too much about tennis, minus the 4 tennis lessons I took in the 7th grade. Stick around after the break as we'll give you all things March Madness.
You may not hear it at first, but it's there. Our chant, rising. On this summit, callings converge, voices unify into a chorus that sounds out for good, for greatness. Can you hear it?
Welcome back to Good Morning KU Sports. It's finally that time of year again. It's Final Four weekend. So first, let's look at the women's tournament. Those women's games are tonight. We'll have Texas versus South Carolina and UConn versus UCLA. So I personally am going to take UConn and Paige Beckers here, and I'm also going to pick Texas over South Carolina. They beat them once earlier in the year. I think they can do it again. What about you guys?
I'm going to go with UConn over UCLA, and I'm going to go with South Carolina over Texas. Clash of 2 Titans. You know, I think Dawn Staley is the best coach in all of basketball. And I think they're going to win she's going to win her 4th national championship at South Carolina. Just an incredible job she's done. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, for South Carolina and Texas, I feel like they have a really good player on there who's been averaging 16 points. But I think South Carolina is going to take it, like you said. And then UCLA and UConn tonight. I also have UConn going. They have Paige Beckers, Sarah Strong, a lot of well-established players on that team. Then when it comes to the championship, I think UConn's going to come out on top. I don't think South Carolina is going to be able to get that back-to-back.
All right, and then going over to the men's tournament, we've got Duke versus Houston and then Auburn versus Florida. Let's start with Duke versus Houston. Now, I'm personally taking Duke here. I think Houston could beat either two of the other teams, but since they're playing Duke, I think this is a bad matchup. I just think Duke is all around just incredible. They, obviously have Cooper Flagg, but also Con Knipple can score, Tyrese Proctor can score. They're just such a strong team, and I think they will take down Houston. What about you guys?
This is honestly the most excited I've ever been for a Final Four. I know it's all one seed. Some people don't like that, but I do. I like when the best play each other. Houston versus Duke is definitely the game I'm most looking forward to. I do have Duke winning this game, but I just want to look at some key players for both sides. For me, Con Knipple, he's an elite passer. He's going to do great things in the NBA. He has unreal court vision. He's a knockdown shooter, and passing will be most important against this elite Houston defense. And then Kamad Malawach. Monster rim protector. People forget that he played for South Sudan in the Olympics, so he has experience going up against guys like LeBron James, Steph Curry already. So this Final Four would basically be nothing to him. Obviously, that's not true, but still. So I think you got to look for a lot of lobs from Knipple to Malawach in this game in particular, just to beat the Houston defense. For Houston, though, Emmanuel Sharp is the guy I have my eye on. He's an absolute sniper from beyond range. He made some clutch shots against Tennessee to get them that win. And then JoJo Tugler, I think he's like the jack of all trades kind of on the defensive end. He's elite. He's an elite rebounder. They need some offensive output from him in this game.
Yeah, out of this one, I also have Duke coming out on top. No surprise. I think that Houston's definitely going to give them a run for their money on defense. But what I've seen is that they've been allowing teams to score behind the arc. They're going to try to limit Cooper Flagg. They're going to try to limit Con Knipple. But I think that when Tyrese Proctor has been shooting lights out also, he's going to have a really good game. And I just think the depth that they have in their roster, they're going to come out on top.
Yep. All right, then moving over to Auburn, Florida. I'm actually going to pick Auburn here. I think that Florida has shown a little bit of weakness in this tournament. I think they are obviously one of the best teams in the country. But we saw in that Texas Tech game, they were down late and they relied on a good run at the end to win. But they also had a scare against UConn, and obviously both Texas Tech and UConn, those are great teams. But I think Florida has shown a little weakness, and I think Auburn also, struggled towards the end of the regular season, but they're just such a deep team. Tahad Pettiford and Denver Jones, obviously being key players here, and I just think Auburn can pull this one out.
Yeah, ironically, I thought that coming into this tournament, Auburn was the team I was a little bit, wary on. I didn't think they finished it the way they wanted to, but now Florida is kind of, obviously they've gotten wins, but it's been a struggle for sure, especially with how dominant they were in the SEC tournament. It's, raised some eyebrows a little bit. That being said, this game is going to come down to guard play, and I like Florida. Walter Clayton Jr. is the best point guard in the country, plain and simple. He's the clutchest player in the country, plain and simple. I think Florida wins.
For this game, I also have Auburn winning, actually. I think it's going to be a close game, definitely. Auburn's already taken a loss against Florida earlier in the regular season, so I think they're going to come out and know what they're expecting. I just think Auburn is a more established team. Specifically this season, they've really shown out. Florida is going to be tough to go against. Walter Clayton Jr., they have Elijah Martin, and a lot of upperclassmen on their team that's going to be aiding in that game. But I think it's going to be close, but I think Auburn's going to take it.
Yeah, and Auburn actually has played against all the teams in the Final Four. They've got that experience. That's why I'm picking them. But now let's go to the national championship. Who are your guys' picks for the national championship? I'm going to take Duke to win it all. Duke kind of reminds me of that 2023 UConn team that just beat everyone by double digits in the tournament. They just seem too hot to go back on, and I think they're going to win it all.
I do agree with that. I do think Duke wins and John Shire gets his first national championship as head coach of the Blue Devils. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if any of the four won it, but I like Duke. They've just been a buzzsaw. It's going to be hard to pick against them.
Everything you said, same thing. I feel like Duke is just so much more of an established team. We have a lot of young guys, which is the only thing that I see they might be struggling with, but I feel like they're young, but they have the experience to take the championship.
All right, well, that's all we have for you. Coming up after the break is Jack talking about the Frozen Four.
From adversity, we rose. We made history and became pioneers, voyagers, champions, Jayhawks. And when our chant rises, haunting and hallowed, Jayhawks are telling the world what's near. Victory.
Welcome back. With all the hype that's been going around about this year's Final Four, I thought it was long overdue to shed some light on the Frozen Four. The Frozen Four is essentially the college hockey version of the Final Four, with 4 teams remaining after a 2-round tournament that started off with 16 teams. The tournament's been happening every year since 1948, bringing arguably the same level of excitement as March Madness, just without the catchy title. Denver, Western Michigan, Penn State, and Boston are the 4 teams that are left this year. Let's take a look at them. Denver started off the tournament against Providence, easily handling them 5-1. Their next matchup was against Boston College, where once again they proved to be consistent and beat the Eagles 3-1. Their key to success? Goaltender Matt Davis, who saw 67 shots between the games, only let in 2. He'll have to remain solid if the Pioneers want to advance past Western Michigan and have the opportunity to win the tournament for the 2nd year in a row. Western Michigan, on the other hand, had a much tougher time getting here. Their first round game against Mankato was close, becoming deadlocked at 1-1 in the 3rd period and throughout overtime. After that, WMU forward Grant Slakinski buried a textbook garbage goal to give his team the W in double overtime. The Broncos had another tough matchup against UMass in the 2nd round, but got the win with a power play goal by Tim Washi to win 2-1 once again. On the other side of the tournament, Penn State had the same success as Denver in the 1st round, routing the Maine Black Bears 5-1. They moved on to play a very tough UConn team in the 2nd round and went to the overtime tied 2-2. A beautiful read by Charlie Serrato and a goal from Matt DeMarsico sent Penn State to the Frozen Four in dramatic fashion. Let's take a look.
Chris Serrato moves in, swung it back, DeMarsico fires, scores! It's over! Penn State to the Frozen Four for the first time ever!
DeMarsico has been hot during the tournament, tallying up 3 goals. He's definitely someone to keep your eye on. The 4th and final team, Boston University, scored the most goals of the tournament so far in an 8-3 win over Ohio State. The Terriers faced off against Cornell in another very close matchup. The score tied up at 2-2 in the 3rd and went to overtime. An absolute laser beam from the point by forward Quinn Hudson sent the Terriers to their 3rd straight Frozen Four appearance.
One of the 2 Hudson brothers on the ice tonight. Swings it in and scores! Quinn Hudson sends BU back to the Frozen Four!
An electric tournament that's defined by overtime winners is shaping up to be an even more electric final Frozen Four. Denver's looking to win back-to-back championships, Boston's looking to overcome shortcomings from the previous 2 years, and WMU and Penn State are hoping to make a splash in their first ever trip to the quarterfinals. Catch all the action on April 10th as Denver takes on Western Michigan at 4 p.m. Central and Penn State takes on Boston U at 7:30 p.m. Central. Let's now take it over to Alicia with some NIL updates.
Thanks, Jack. Olivia Miles, a star women's basketball player for Notre Dame's Fighting Irish, is entering the transfer portal and foregoing her opportunity to play in the WNBA for 1 more year of college basketball. The projected number 2 pick in this year's draft has stated there are several factors behind her decision, with one of the main ones being the unpredictability within the WNBA and the security she feels in her college career. Although her reasoning is uncertain, the skepticism she expresses with the WNBA is possibly the byproduct of why many players are also taking advantage of the portal. It is expected she will make more money in another year of college than becoming a rookie in the W. Miles is projected to be making upwards of $500,000 using her last year of eligibility with the current NIL structure, whereas she would be starting in the W with a rookie salary of about $78,000.
It also, bridges a bigger discussion of the negotiations happening around the WNBA and the CBA and all the financial implications, including what contracts look like for rookies moving forward. And perhaps if there's no rush, then maybe people are thinking of waiting. I thought about, without any information, just curious, is everything okay at Notre Dame? But they did not have a great finish to the season. And now you got players transferring out. I was just okay, what's happening there as well?
NBA star Trae Young becomes the assistant general manager for the Oklahoma Sooners and a part of a new shift in NIL monitoring. Recently, athletic programs have begun to add a general manager position to assist coaches in busy work and handling finances.
Davidson College opted to improve the position that much more by adding an assistant general manager role and hiring former Wildcat and current NBA superstar Steph Curry to fill that position, becoming the first NCAA team to hire an active professional athlete to the management team. While what Curry's day-to-day role on the team looks like is unclear, he will have a hand in major team decisions and oversight of the program. The Oklahoma Sooners are piggybacking on this role in an attempt to add more depth and to their NIL structure. Active NBA player Trae Young has recently accepted the assistant general manager position for the University of Oklahoma basketball programs. Young, a Sooners alumnus, will also donate $1 million to the program upon taking the position. Oklahoma has struggled across the board when it comes to NIL funds, which has largely been the impact of their football program. The Atlanta Hawks guard states that in the current NIL wave, he believes it's a perfect time for professional players to have more of a hand in the programs that made them. That's all I have on recent NIL news. I'll go ahead and pass it over to Addie.
Thanks, Alicia. After the break, Olivia will give us our weather breakdown.
National champions deserve a clean campus. Don't wait for other Jayhawks to pick up your mess. Keep the University of Kansas clean.
To Good Morning KU Sports. Now, if you've been outside this morning, you've noticed we're having some light rain showers this morning all across the area, and those rain showers are going to continue throughout this afternoon. Also be talking about being right around some near freezing temperatures again this weekend for our overnight lows, and we're also going to have a nice warming trend through next week, so I'll break that down a little bit later. But first, taking a look outside, this is out looking at the state capitol building. As you can see, it is cloudy and rainy, and we're experiencing this as well in Lawrence, currently right around 47 degrees with our wind right around 10 miles per hour. So definitely, if you're walking around campus today, you are going to be wanting a rain jacket because this rain is not going anywhere. Right now, we have rain showers kind of extending from north central Oklahoma all the way up through into eastern Missouri, and a lot of that rain is just going to keep on moving across the area, so expect rain all throughout this afternoon and into this evening. Taking a look at our model data right now, as you can see, it is going to become a little bit more sporadic as we're getting into the afternoon, so there might be some periods of breaks. However, it is still going to be having an impact on the area throughout the day and into this evening as well. So because of this rain, we're not going to warm up too much today. Our high is going to be right around 50 degrees. With our winds increasing a bit, there might be some gusts to 25 this afternoon as well, so be ready for that. And as for tonight, again, with those rain showers kind of lingering in the early period, we're going to see it eventually start to clear out, and it'll just be an overcast night with our temperature dipping right around to 40 degrees. Now for baseball, they have much better weather down in Orlando this weekend. They're going to be having their start time temperatures right around 86 degrees for all of their games, so it's going to feel really good down there for them, and overall winds are going to be not too strong for the game, so should be good playing conditions for them as well. Now for our other sporting events, we're not really expecting much this week. It's actually pretty calm compared to some of our past weeks. For track today in Tucson, there is a chance of a rain shower, probably about a 30% chance for them, but otherwise all of our sporting conditions in other places are looking relatively clear and shouldn't have any weather impacts for the week. And taking a look at our 7-day forecast, we really are expecting all of our weather chances to really start to end by early tomorrow morning, and we are going to have a little bit colder temperatures tomorrow and Sunday, with those low temperatures Saturday, Sunday, and Monday night dipping right near freezing. However, that's not going to last too long, as we are going to be seeing a warming trend start to pick up Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday being well above average for this time of year. Addie?
Before we close out today's show, we have some breaking news to report. Kansas guard Samaya Nichols was just named All-American Honorable Mention as chosen by the Women's Basketball Coaches Association. The 2024 WBCA Division I Coaches All-America team is comprised of the 10 best players in NCAA Division I, regardless of position. In addition to the first team, 40 student athletes received All-American Honorable Mention. Congratulations to Samaya. Well, that's all the time we have for you today. I hope you have a fabulous weekend, and make sure to stick around for Playmakers today at noon. Rock Chalk.